In sports, if you want to be the best, there are no off days. Welcome into the No Off Days podcast. I'm Scott Smith. We got Chris Cato here to my left, and BK is in the booth. We'll bring him in momentarily. But here we go. We're rolling into November, and this is kind of the sweet spot, Chris, for the college football calendar. And we're going to get into a lot of this today because the first college football playoff rankings came out earlier this week, so a chance to kind of digest some of that. We'll kind of see what those matchups look like. We had the trade deadline in the NFL earlier this week, so the Bucs standing pat, not making any moves, but that doesn't mean that there weren't other moves to speak of. So we have a very important guest coming in to break all this down. BK will do that momentarily, but there was no story this week, Chris, that kind of stopped me in my tracks more than this one. We'll get a nice here tight shot as I look into the camera. The cloning of Tom Brady's dog.
I knew you were going there.
What is happening? What's going on? Okay, look, the question is why, right? But I have to get your thoughts. Is this not the one of the weirdest things ever?
Well, Tom,
am I off base here?
I don't think you're off base.
Okay.
I think we can answer why, though.
Why?
What's the dog's name?
Junie.
Okay, so Junie was a really good dog, and he wanted Junie around.
Tell
forever.
me how does this work, right? I know, like, DNA is identical, right? They take a vial of blood, and so now you have the identical DNA makeup of the previous dog, but it's we call it a clone, but there's so many different things, external things that I would imagine shape who that dog is.
You're saying Junie's character wouldn't be the same as the original.
Right.
Junie's clone character wouldn't be the same as...
Right, like you're going to still have to train Junie to sit and to roll over and to do all the little doggy tricks, right? Like the personality is probably going to be a little bit different, right?
You would think so.
Okay.
Unless there's something in that DNA that lends the Junie to adapt to and become what the old Junie was.
I'm just saying, hey, look, we talked about this before when he started tinkering with dire wolves and bringing those out of extinction, that this is the next thing. And now this is like, it's a normalization of cloning.
It really is.
Right? So it started as a joke, but I'm getting nervous. That's what I'm saying, Chris. I think the T-Rex is not that far down the line.
Go ahead.
Now, I was just going to say, if he's willing to publicly discuss the cloning of his dog, what is happening privately? What is the next shoe that's going to drop? That's what I want to know. Is this Tom Brady? Was Thomas Edward Patrick Brady the third, I believe? Did he pass away a couple years ago?
I was going to say, do we know that this is the original Tom Brady? I mean, he hasn't aged in about 10 years.
He's younger.
So is
He's younger.
The original copy is on some Tahitian island thinking of what to clone next while his clone is making, $700 million a year for Fox.
There's an underground cave of Tom Brady babies like sitting in like these incubators. And, they're all training on how to throw a football 80 yards by the age of 4. Like, that's what's happening right now. Like, I don't know. I'm a little worried that, this is not how I wanted to start the podcast off because I was in a good mood. I was thinking football, and then the Tom Brady cloning story just...
Well, is there nothing in your life that you would clone to have it around again?
No, because it's weird.
You didn't have a pet that you loved so much?
No, you know me. I'm not a big pet guy. I got a dog.
Don't tell Calvin that.
No, Calvin's a good dog, but hey, I mean, look, like I believe in the uniqueness of the individual, or in this case, the animal, and I don't know. I just think it's super bizarre, and I feel like what is it in somebody that wants them to clone the exact thing? Like it's not the same, but.
What if you could clone a baby you? You could raise a baby Scott, a little scooter.
That'd be frightening. That would scare me. No, I don't need more of me. All right, there's enough. Scott Smith
think about
says
it though. You could clone yourself to work here while you're off, kicking with your feet propped up.
Well, if
by the
I know
pool.
me like I think I know me, I'm not going to be sharing my money with the other Scott Smith and kind of financing his lifestyle of doing nothing.
Yeah, I guess I was assuming that your clone would just blindly
He's
follow your orders.
Yeah. He's got to be a lot dumber, which is hard.
Okay.
It's like the movie Idiocracy, It's like every iteration of the next one is going to be a lot dumber, and they just get dumber. Maybe that's what happens in cloning. You think?
there's a degradation of the quality over time.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it gets better.
Like your old mixtapes, right?
Only 10 dubs.
Let's bring in BK, if that is really BK.
It's all me.
Okay, are you sure?
I am 100%
Tell me
certain.
one thing that only BK has disclosed on this podcast about his personal... no, don't.
There have been too much
one?
sharing.
Just one?
Anyway. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
3 things.
I just need three things.
Wait, why'd you change your shirt? The shirt you were wearing earlier was
The
beautiful.
other real BK was wearing a green shirt.
No, he was wearing an Alabama shirt. It
Oh,
was
you're
beautiful.
right. Rods
I
and
took off.
cones.
It was messing with the camera some, so yeah.
All right.
But I went with this one. Yeah.
Are you scared? Do you think Tom Brady is up to some? Is he going to be in 20 years? Is Tom Brady like the nefarious like Dr. Doom like in some cave with his cast of supervillains cloning things and people? And is that where we're going? Is that what's happening here with the GOAT?
I hope not, but it did. It set you off, man. When we told you about it back in sports,
I'm shook.
You were in a good mood until now. Cato,
I'm just
you got
saying,
your hands full tonight.
slippery slope, you know. Cato's clearly not alarmed. He's right
No,
now.
I'm looking. I was asking
he's
AI
perusing.
what Tom Brady's going to clone next.
Yeah, I just think it's look, you know.
So
we tell our athletes, just dribble the basketball type of thing. You know, this is kind of where I didn't want to have to use it, but Tom, let's stick to sports, buddy. The cloning thing, I don't know. I'm scared, but
it's a little nerve-wracking. Nerve-wracking.
All right. What have you learned?
Well, one thing I learned is that he didn't. At least he gave the new dog a different name.
Yes, the first one was Lua.
So this is Junie. So I guess that's not as weird.
Yeah. Well, what's in a name, right?
Yeah.
We'll find out, I suppose. Yeah.
You do have to wonder how much alike this dog is than the other dog.
Like, will the bark sound
exactly
the same?
I mean, will he make the same, come to you when you want him to come to you and stuff? Yeah.
I mean,
It's
again,
creepy.
like how do you feed your dog? If
Yeah.
you feed it, I think that Tom. This is what I think is going on with Tom. I think the TB12 thing. He's tinkering with what if I put my dog on a high performance TB12 diet from the first day of till the end. Like, will I be able to? I think a TB12 dog food is probably coming, guys.
Wow.
Just
It's
brace
got
yourself.
a lot of avocado in it. Or?
Calling it right here. Exactly. It's going to be the most expensive dog food you've ever seen, but it's going to be high performance, and the dog will, live to be, 50 years
75.
old, which is 300 some odd years in dog years. I don't know. I don't know how that math works, but yeah. So just prepare yourself. Everything's calculated. Everything is calculated, right?
Oh boy.
Selling something. All right. So what do we have on today's big show?
Another great show today, Scott. We're going to have Greg Auman. He's an NFL. We all know Greg Auman.
I love the Allman Brothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sweet Melissa, right?
Sweet Melissa, yeah.
Do you think he could sing in harmony? Maybe
You should ask him.
You know?
Get his thoughts on this, the Bucs, NFC South, coming off the bye week, man. So it's crunch time now.
Oh, yeah.
Tough stretch of the
big
schedule
time.
coming up.
Yeah.
Big time with the injuries and all that. So, yeah.
It's always good to talk to him.
And then at the end of the show.
How about another game? Call this game
Of course.
On the Clock.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. Needs whiteboards. I believe there's some whiteboards out there for you. So
I
it's
see
You
the
know
whiteboards.
what the question is. Is there any animation that goes with this?
it could be.
Okay.
It
All
could
right.
be.
Now-
We're still
Now we're
working on
interested.
All right.
it. They're still working on it.
We'll play that game.
BK is tinkering with AI so much, I think he's going to end up going into business with Tom.
like
He's
He
gonna
might
clone-
end up cloning himself at some point.
We could use a couple BKs around here.
Yeah, no doubt. Get some work done.
Come on now.
So we need the clone of BK to edit this program. And
That'd
BK
be
would
nice.
love that. no
That'd
doubt.
be real nice.
All right. Thanks, BK.
Thanks,
Catch
man.
up with you momentarily. If you're listening and you want to watch, go to fox13news.com/nodpod. If you're watching and you want to listen or subscribe, you can take your phone, zap the QR code on the screen, head to our show page. Feel free to leave comments on our YouTube page and then 5-star ratings on iTunes if you are so inclined. Please subscribe, fox13news.com/nodpod. All right, Chris, so let's dig into the college football playoff rankings, the initial ones that came out earlier this week. And, it held pretty true to form as to what we saw out of the AP rankings. For the most part, there was some slight changes there. But your top 4 teams are Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Alabama. Any surprises so far?
No, I can't really argue with that. You could make a case that maybe Indiana should be number one. I think they've got the best win in the country so far, beating Oregon by 10 on the road. Ohio State still getting a lot of credit for beating Texas and hasn't really played anyone else.
Yeah, that's true. Then those are your 4 teams that would then earn the bye week, right? So I know that a lot of this is, we're kind of playing it down the road. Everything is going to change. None of this is going to hold up. It's not going to look like this here in about 4 or 5 weeks. But then you get into your individual matchups, and some of these teams, obviously because of the automatic tie-ins, are going to get elevated. So our 5-12 matchup, as it was stated earlier this week, is Georgia-Memphis. So they have your G5 team as Memphis. Obviously that could certainly hold, but they have to win the American Conference. It seems like it's going to be the American Conference winner. I know that USF still has a lot to say about this because Memphis still has a tough stretch down the rest of the way. I believe they still have a tilt against Navy and Tulane, if I'm not mistaken there.
I believe you're right, yeah.
And those are teams that are also right there in the mix, kind of on the doorstep along with USF. So I think USF is sitting there saying, man, if we just take care of business, we win out, we're going to be the team that's going to be representing the group of 5. Do you like that matchup, though? If it holds,
no,
Georgia against Memphis.
No, I think it's blowout city. Remember, the teams ranked seeded 5 through 8 get to host on their campus that first-round playoff game. So Georgia's hosting, Memphis is coming, and I think it feels weird that we look at the whole top 25 that the CFP put out, and there's no group of 5 team in that, so we don't know exactly how far Memphis falls below 25, but it seems lopsided when you look at it that way.
It does. If there's one team, I know there's a local bias here, but USF has actually played some of these higher schools, some of these power schools, and sprung some upsets earlier this year. So, I think that if you slug them in there, then maybe you have a more competitive matchup. But that's a tough draw for any of the G5 teams, right, to have to go up against a Georgia. And I don't know. There's going to be some shuffling in the SEC still, so maybe they get a little bit more favorable of a matchup. But you're probably looking at, it's probably going to be an SEC or Big Ten team, and
hosting the highest ranked group
like the
of
team
5.
that lost basically their conference championship is probably the team that you're looking at,
which isn't a bad reward for that team if it is Georgia or whoever.
Getting to host that one. All right, so your 6-11 matchup, they have Ole Miss, which is also 6 in the rankings, taking on Virginia, which would be their 14th actually in the rankings, but 11th in the seeding because they are the ACC champs as they have it slated, and they'd be taking on Ole Miss. Again, I think similar situation, right? We're thinking probably blowout city. I don't think Virginia is going to be the team out of the ACC, to be perfectly honest. I think that there's still some bumps ahead. ACC is going to sort itself out, too. Remember last week we brought BK in and we had maybe 4 teams out of the ACC could potentially find their way into the playoff, and then like 1 week happens and you're like, okay, maybe 1?
I think it's definitely a 1-bid league, and the way you've still got teams like Georgia Tech that are in the mix, Pitt's in the mix, Louisville is in the mix. Louisville's 7-1 overall. Where are they ranked in the overall rankings? They're ranked 15th.
Louisville is 15th.
So right behind Virginia. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Virginia there now. They look. Tony Elliott's doing an amazing job, but they keep having these narrow 1-score wins, and I think down the stretch here we're going to get a different. They may play in the ACC championship game, but I think it's probably going to be a Louisville or maybe Tech. So
Louisville has Cal this week. They take on Clemson and SMU and Kentucky. So an out-of-conference game there.
Okay.
But so could SMU beat them? Potentially. Clemson could potentially beat them as well. So there's a couple landmines still ahead of that team. Then we have BYU, number 7, currently unbeaten, representing the Big 12 as your Big 12 champ. And they would be playing Notre Dame, assuming this is still a 2-loss Notre Dame squad. I don't love that. I think there's we've talked about it. I think that there's a little bit of a Notre Dame bias, but for them to be able to grab one of those the roles as an indie squad, is going to take away probably from an SEC, like a 5th team maybe from the SEC or a 4th team from the Big Ten, right?
Well, what does Notre Dame have remaining? Their biggest feather in their cap right now on their resume is what?
Close losses.
Close losses to Miami and Texas A&M, and they beat USC. Correct.
Beat USC, so there's that. That's probably their. Let me pull up their schedule here. Yeah, that's probably their best.
I think that's their best win. They need to hope that USC keeps looking good. They've got Navy, who Navy's a decent squad, but I don't know that that's the kind of win that's going to get you a lot of credibility in that meeting room. They've got Pitt. Now they're playing at Pitt. I think that would be a quality win if they could go on the road and beat Pitt. Pitt's playing some really good football right now.
It is, but this is where we get back to the discussion of, look, they don't have a conference championship game. So that's one more game that's going to keep other teams in other conferences out, but they don't have to play that game. The loser of the championship game in the Big 12 or the loser of the ACC championship is probably not getting into the playoff.
Yeah.
And they may have 2 losses as well. That may be their second loss coming in the championship game, and they're out. Notre Dame, they get the benefit of the doubt because of the name ID. I think that's what it comes down to.
But this isn't written in stone, and I think you could have a real debate. You will. I think Notre Dame will be heavily debated on that final ranking.
We will discuss this again because I think it's probably going to hold. I mean, I think
if you are comparing them to, let's say, a Vanderbilt that has real quality wins. Let's say Vandy ends up with 2 losses. They've got 1 now. Let's say they drop 1 down the road to Tennessee at the end of the season. Vanderbilt or Notre Dame?
Yeah, I'm taking Vandy.
It's Vandy.
Yeah,
I think so too. This will be the ultimate test of tradition and brand versus a team that has actually earned it in the toughest conference.
Yeah. Well, they have extra lobbying power, I think, does Notre Dame. All right, so your 8-9 matchup is Texas Tech. So they do have 2 Big 12 teams getting in, and presuming that Tech would lose to BYU in the championship game in the Big 12, that they would be in, and they would be sitting there with 2 losses as well. But they're 8 seeded right now with 1 loss, and they'd be taking on an Oregon team that I think got knocked down a couple of pegs because of their soft schedule. Oregon's going to be one of those teams that, should they win out, who have they actually played?
Oregon has some tougher games coming up.
They do.
They have 2 or 3 ranked opponents.
They have Iowa this week. They got a Minnesota team that's kind of scrappy. They have USC still, and then Washington that's kind of a little bit of an upstart team. So, yeah, there's some decent tests for them still ahead.
They could build the resume.
But I think that they're probably looking at what I think, and we've discussed, is one of the more favorable places you could be, is to skip out on the championship game and finish strong and then maybe host a game in the first round.
Especially if they could finish 8th and, you get to host one of those first-round games, you're set.
Yeah, flip-flop with Tech. So, in the end, we got 1 ACC, we got 2 Big 12, 3 Big 10, 4 SEC teams, and independent would be Notre Dame, and your G5 Memphis. I think a lot of these are going to change. I think your G5 is going to change. I unfortunately do think Notre Dame is probably going to win out, and I'll bet they get in. So really it comes down to, can a 5th team? I think that's going to be the big discussion. Is are we going to get a 5th SEC team in there? And for what we've seen so far, anything could happen over the last month. I do think the SEC probably needs 5 teams in.
I think it's going to be such a logjam and pretty fascinating coming down to that final week in November when Texas is playing Texas A&M. A&M's undefeated right now, and let me go back to their schedule right here. They haven't played the toughest gauntlet in the SEC, but they did beat Notre Dame on the road by a point, and they're getting a lot of credit for that right now. Here are Aggies. I have so many tabs up. Here we go. Aggies still have to play at Missouri, who is ranked 22nd in the playoff committee rankings, and they still have to play at Texas to end the season. And so you wonder if they come in with a loss or 2. Texas has a couple. I'm just saying if Texas A&M and Texas both have 2 losses, but don't get into the SEC championship game because it's Bama and pick your Georgia or Oklahoma,
or whatever.
You're going to have 2. I could see there being 5 SEC teams in.
Yeah. No, I think so too.
Because Vandy could have 2 losses and sit at home. I
mean, I struggle to see 2 Big 12 teams getting in, honestly, unless BYU's only losses in that championship game. Then
that's the way that would play out.
Maybe that's the case. But I think BYU and Tech, they play each other.
Well, Tech has already BYU has already beaten Tech.
Okay.
Yeah, but they could play each other again in the conference championship game.
Sure. I don't know. A lot can happen. It's fun to start to think about it because these are the rankings that truly matter. The AP's fun, and that's some banter throughout the course of the season, but it's going to come down to the CFP. And I think that they're obviously giving more credence to strength of schedule, or at least that's the claim. And so we will see how it all plays out because this last month of the season is when you're really going to have some heavyweight bouts.
I need to correct myself. BYU and Tech haven't played. They played this Saturday. So
This
maybe
weekend.
when you listen to this podcast, if you listen on Sunday.
Yeah, dummy, they played.
Yeah. I say, yeah, they played
yesterday.
already.
Yeah. Okay. So it's going to be fun though. And look, at the end of the day, I love it. I love the mayhem that surrounds it, and even the discussion of the teams that get snubbed. It just fuels the fire for college football, and maybe even a discussion for expansion in the playoff as they want to do.
Well, isn't this a lot better than when we had 4 and we were debating who the 4 should be?
Well, don't ask BK. All right, coming up on the other side, we're going to talk some NFL football. We have NFL writer for Fox, Greg Auman, as our guest coming up on the No Off Days podcast. Welcome back to the Nod Pod. Everybody says that when the bye week arrives, it's the perfect time for bye week, wherever that is. Sure. I know for the players, whenever it's an off week, it's the perfect time. But I truly believe for the Bucs, this last week was the perfect time. I mean, with all the injuries that they've had, they needed just a space to just breathe, right? To heal up, to get better. And then they have a big stretch of games coming up here because this week it's the New England Patriots. You got the Rams. You got the Bills. So this is a tough stretch of games for this team. So I think now's as good a time as any to kind of get a state of the team, right? And there's probably no better person to ask to give that than someone that's covered this team for quite some time, and he would be Greg Auman. All right, let's welcome in NFL writer for Fox, but he's been covering the Bucs for a long time now. Greg Auman is our guest, and Greg, let's start with the Bucs on this bye week. It kind of comes usually with some introspection from the coaching staff and the players. I know that health has kind of been the main story through the first half of the season. But aside from that, when you look at this team and what they've been able to do and accomplish 6-2 record at this point, I think they probably, even they had a healthy team, they probably would have taken 6-2 at the start of the season. What do you think, in your assessment, is the areas that have kind of surprised you or they've kind of outperformed what preseason expectations might have been?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think 6-2, if they were healthy, would have felt like, with the schedule they had, a good run. So to push through all the injuries they've had, in terms of what's impressed the most, I guess just the way maybe the receiving depth has come up and played well enough to be a big part of these wins. To think how little they've had of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and no Jalen McMillan at all. I think everybody was excited about Emeka Egbuka when they had drafted him. I don't know if they expected him to have 5 touchdowns in the first 4 games. So that to me, Baker, I think going into the year, I felt like the biggest thing for Baker was like, could he keep making plays and be a leader and tone down on the picks and the interceptions and the turnovers? And he's done a really good job with that compared to last year. So that stands out to me. The defense has kind of been uneven, up and down. Some injuries up front, some injuries in the secondary. So it's kind of hard to have a single grade for the defense. But they've really stepped up. Last 3 games, they've had 15 sacks, which is a great run for them. Starting to get takeaways the way they want to get. So, overall, I guess the main thing you'd say for the first half is just kind of resilience, pushing through injuries and finding ways to win when they didn't necessarily have the personnel to make it easy.
Now, it's an intriguing week around the NFL. And, of course, you have a lot of injuries. But there's curiosity around who you think might be back for this team. At least if you had to kind of slate out, here are the guys that would come back sooner. It's still early in the week as we tape this, so we don't have our hands on an injury report just yet. But who do you think might be closer than others?
Yeah, the most promising one right now is probably Luke Gedeke, the right tackle, who's been out since week 2. The Bucs announced on Monday they're opening the 21-day window for him to return to practice. So I don't know whether that's something that's so quick that he can play against the Patriots, but I think it's reasonable to think he could play against the Bills, play against the Rams. Their next 3 are really tough opponents. So having both your tackles healthy is a huge help there. Beyond that, we don't really know of the big 3 that are still feel like they're in play for a relatively soon return would be Chris Godwin, Bucky Irving, Hassan Reddick. Reddick, I think Bowles had kind of construed that as like an ankle sprain. not more than that. They didn't put him on IR, so usually that means they think it's less than 4 weeks. But Godwin and Irving are very much wild cards. We haven't seen them in a month. We don't really know the severity of the injuries. They're going to be question marks until we see them at practice, probably.
As far as the Godwin injury, it doesn't seem like we know much about that. Do you think it's connected to what he went through this last year, or is this completely different?
Yeah, my understanding is that it's connected in the sense that it's also the fibula, and he had the break at the bottom of the fibula. I think this is a separate injury where you put a lot of hardware into a bone. It kind of can be compromised, if you will, and more vulnerable to damage. So I wouldn't say it's connected, but it's the same bone he missed a year after having surgery on. So it's hard to say it's not in some way related to it. I think it's two separate injuries to the exact same body part, basically.
So trade deadline this week, and a lot of movement from around the NFL, but the Bucs standing pat. Do you feel like they missed an opportunity?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I think they're a team that has to hope that their big additions in the second half of the season are just getting guys healthy. Again, at a $20 million tackle at the trade deadline, it's just Luke Gedeke, who's been hurt for 6 weeks. The hard part of that is that we don't know who they're going to get back. I think the Bucs fans have kind of lived in this hopeful, wow, how good this team would be when everyone gets healthy. And we don't know if they're all going to get healthy. There's a world where they go to the postseason and they have Gedeke and Bucky and Hassan Reddick and Chris Godwin's back and Mike Evans is back. You could have all 5 of your top 5 receivers, or you could have 1 or 2 of your top 5 receivers. I think the Bucs know that a lot better than we do right now, just because there's so little injury information. The fact that they aren't making moves, that's probably them being optimistic they're going to get some of these guys back and they'll be closer to the team they wanted to be, as opposed to making a bunch of moves, which might hint that some of the cavalry isn't coming back the way fans would like them to.
As far as some of these other moves that have gone down, Sauce Gardner going to the Colts, Quinnen Williams going to the Cowboys. I know that you are, it seems that you're well studied in all things NFL. So if I spring this on you, I'm sure you're just fine. But how many of these trade deadline deals actually pan out?
These are big enough where they're going to pan out for one of the two teams. The Jets were 1-17. It's not like anyone thought they were going to be buyers this week, but to bring in a defensive coach like Aaron Glenn, to be a year or two removed from a top 10 defense and now to basically dismantle it is wild. I mean, Sauce Gardner just got a massive highest paid in the NFL extension 4 months ago. So to move on from him, I think it does say that if you have a defensive minded coach, they kind of know which pieces fit best in your defense. So to get 2 first-round picks from the Colts is huge. Dallas gave up a 2 this year, a 1 next year, and Mazi Smith to get Quinnen Williams. So that's 2 huge names that are gone. If you're the Jets, again, they're 1-7, and with those 2 guys, it's not going to be a whole lot of wins without. So that makes it harder to evaluate anything else. But I think they're definitely a team that has their eye on 26 now, if not 27. And now they have the extra picks you need to get a quarterback you want, if you want to take a quarterback at the top of this draft. They as sellers is probably the biggest story of this draft deadline right now. Colts going to get Sauce is a big move. They're a team that kind of needs some validation, especially coming off a game where they randomly had 6 turnovers and didn't look like the team with the best record in the NFL. Cowboys added a linebacker, added a defensive tackle. They have like a 4% chance of making the playoffs. So I have no idea why they're buyers right now and giving up premium draft picks for well-paid players, but that's Jerry Jones. That's where they are. We're talking about the Cowboys. That's his goal.
All right, quick timeout with Greg Auman. On the other side, we're going to bring him back in and get some more discussion on what he thinks maybe even is the long-term play for one Mike Evans, currently dealing with injury, but what does the future have in store for number 13? Stick around. Nodpod's back right after this. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. Last block, we had Greg Auman on, and we just didn't get enough out of him. The man is an encyclopedia of information, so I feel like no matter what I ask him, he's going to have the answer. It's kind of like ChatGPT.
He's AI.
A little bit. Well, he's the real flesh and blood, over Zoom, that is, our continued conversation with Greg Auman. I got to ask you about the rest of this division, because it's kind of panning out a little bit different than folks had thought, at least The Panthers are maybe on the rise a little bit quicker. I'm not sure how many people could count on a consistent Falcons team week in and week out, but are you surprised by kind of the ascent of Dave Canales' team to second place in the South?
Oh, yeah, I'm surprised. Yes, I had thought they would compete with Atlanta to be the next best team in the division. I didn't necessarily think there was a wild card in the NFC South this year. Saints have been kind of exactly who we thought, but yeah, Carolina, for them to be 5-3, for them to have found kind of a new identity with Rico Dowdle run the ball like crazy the last 4 or 5 weeks, a defense that's kind of found itself a little bit. It's very impressive. I mean, they're 5-3. They'll have every chance to be competing for wild cards right now. I don't know if they're going to catch the Bucs. It's one of those where for the Bucs all along it was like, hey, they get the Panthers twice in the last 3 weeks of the season. Now it's like, they get the Panthers twice in the last 3 weeks of the season. I think they're still okay there, but that's definitely a tougher date than it was when the schedule came out in May. Falcons, as you said, very wobbly and firing kickers every other week now. Probably disappointing from the standpoint of the expectations they're in-house. You go back like 3-4 weeks, they're beating the Buffalo Bills. Bijan Robinson has like 250 yards from scrimmage in a game, and he's been pretty quiet the last 3 weeks. Michael Penix got hurt. Kirk Cousins looked bad. Michael Penix is back, and it's still not enough. So they're in a perilous position because they've got like a 7-year playoff drought. And again, if you're 7-10 again, you wonder if Terry Fontenot is back as GM, if Raheem Morris is back as head coach. Their job's on the line here in the next 2 months for Atlanta.
Well, you kind of touched on the backloaded South schedule for the Bucs, and maybe it's going to be a little bit more imposing than we had thought. But I think everybody has kind of circled these next 3 games as, hey, if there's going to be another midseason lull like we've seen in recent years for the Bucs, it could be this year. But I'm curious if there seems to be a streak of defiance against the narrative with this team, and obviously early season we've seen they are very resilient. Do you think that they have kind of progressed out of falling into a multi-game losing streak in that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We'll see how healthy they are. We'll see how much the bye helped. I didn't feel like Baker Mayfield looked like himself the last game or two. So if he can get back to scrambling wildly and making plays with his legs as well as his arm, that's a big step. These are 3 tough teams. I think at one point they were like 16-6 as their record. To go Rams, Bills, or Pats, Bills, Rams is a really tough 3-game stretch. And they really don't have much as tough as that in the last 6 after that. So they could be every bit the team they've been so far and go like 1-2 in the next 3 without it really being them playing worse or missing opportunities. But I do think having some healthy returns, having an extra week of prep, if they can take care of the Patriots have won 5 or 6 in a row now, are very much a contender right there with the Bills atop the AFC East. So either of the next 2 games that they were to win would be right there with like at Seattle as their most impressive win of the season, probably.
Who do you think is the most kind of surprise team of the year? You got Colts and, as mentioned, the Pats, even I guess the Seahawks maybe a little bit. Looked really good this last week. Is there any team that you feel like is just way outperforming where you anticipated?
Yeah, I mean, I think the 4 that have most exceeded your preseason Vegas over-under on wins kind of thing are Seattle, Carolina, Indy, and New England. And I think New England is probably the most emphatic of those to be 6-2 right now. I think everybody thought Vrabel would take as a head coach, thought Drake May could take a step forward. They've been a really good team. They've got some injuries they're dealing with now, missing a good receiver in Butte, potentially missing a corner in Gonzalez where they're not going to be at full strength. That probably impresses me the most. I thought, even though the Bucs were able to go to Seattle and win, I think Seattle's looked a really good team on both sides of the ball. And I take them very seriously. Indy, again, a week ago, you would have said unequivocally, they're best record in the NFL. I think having 6 turnovers in a game and showing some mortality, if you will. I don't know how they'll bounce back to that. They just added Sauce Gardner. That doesn't hurt things at all. All 4 of those are probably Carolina. I don't know if you can say Carolina is a playoff team. The other 3 are playoff teams and probably weren't necessarily expected to be playoff teams. NFC West is a really tough division that could still shake out a whole bunch of different ways. But those are probably the 3 I'd point to the most. Carolina would be the 4th.
All right, before we let you go, I want to ask you about kind of where Mike Evans is at in his career? I mean, these are the questions you ask when they get up there. But, obviously the streak of 1,000 yards is now over. He's kind of fighting through yet another injury, and this is a fairly significant one. How much do you think he's contemplating the end?
I think he's been contemplating it for a while. And honestly, like when they took Emeka Egbuka in the first round in April, at first, I think people were like, oh, maybe that means Chris Godwin is more hurt. And the people I talked to were like, no, but if Mike Evans retires after this season, it won't seem so crazy. I think the streak definitely meant a lot to Mike. And the idea that he won't have that takes something away. I think he loves playing for the Bucs. I think, especially you think about how long Mike Evans went without any sniff of the postseason and playoff success, like his first 6 years or whatever it was. I think to get now where he's been to the playoffs 5 years in a row is such a cool thing for him to have. I think you got to figure out how you want to go out. So physically coming back from a major injury, I wonder if he'll want to come back. I think he'll feel good about the team next year, but I also think you get to a point where you are happy with your career. You feel good about the resume you've built to be in the Hall of Fame. You got a ring, a great success. You're beloved by your city. I think if he does decide to walk away here, he does so with everything he could want from a career, short of, I guess, a second ring, if that was in the works at all.
Yeah. Seems like if you come back, it's just more of what you've already gotten, right? And he's had
you worry about Mike coming back and getting hurt again. And I think right now, I don't think he wanted to walk away after last season. I think he's glad he played this year. But I think I felt like he played this year with a definite eye of, gosh, this could be it. This could be my last year. It's definitely worth coming back for a chance to take a record from Jerry Rice and have that piece of history. But now that that's off the table, I wonder if that takes some of the close decision in his heart, in his mind, and says, okay, I can walk away happy.
Good stuff. Greg, we appreciate your time, man.
Anytime, Scott. Thanks for having me on.
Great to catch up with Greg. Coming up on the other side here, Chris, I've been told.
Okay, we need the whiteboards.
We got whiteboards. That means it's game time, baby. What do you call it? What's the name?
On the clock.
On the clock. You are on the clock.
Are we drafting? Are we drafting?
Come back on the No Off Days podcast. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. We are waving our white flags, our whiteboards, that is, as we get ready for another game that Brian King has invented. And with that, let's bring him in. BK, tell us a little bit about what we're playing here and how important our penmanship will play.
Just make it legible to where you can read.
Okay.
But it's pretty simple. It deals with NFL teams. I'll ask you a question that pertains to a group of NFL teams, and you just write down the teams. We're going to put 30 seconds on the clock.
Oh, boy. Okay.
You write down as many of these teams as you can.
Okay.
Okay, you pretty good?
No, this has not been my brain's not working well today.
Well,
I'm already making excuses here.
These are pretty fun, and these are pretty, but they're legit, and you'll learn something. That's pretty cool. That's the thing about it.
Typically, these questions have to do with, like, uniform, logos.
Mascots.
There's no retina involved here.
Okay, so
Okay,
rods
good.
and cones not
It's
in play.
just straight questions.
All right, no math.
30 seconds. 30 seconds. Write down as many as you can in those 30 seconds. And
Okay. I apologize in advance to our audio audience. Here we go.
I'm already writing down Steelers. Let's go.
on your mark, get set. Let's see that first question, Chris. Name the NFL teams that have a star in their logo. There's 4 of these teams, guys. 4 teams that got a star in their logo.
Really? Oh my gosh.
I will say that 1 is NFC, 3 is AFC. You got 5 seconds, guys.
I think I'm done. I think I missed one.
Time.
Golly.
What you got, Scott?
I wrote small because I thought I was going to have a whole list. I got Cowboys and Steelers.
Okay. Cato?
I also wrote small and terribly. I have Cowboys, Texans, Steelers, Patriots.
Okay.
Oh.
Cato got 3 points. The Steelers is not.
Oh.
That's
No?
called like a diachrome.
We have
Cowboys,
it's
Texans.
the Tennessee Titans. I even forgot they were a football team.
Oh my goodness.
So Scott got 1 point. Cato's got 3, right?
Yeah. 3. Yeah.
So 3-1.
Good for you.
How about
Yeah,
that?
man.
Can we quit now?
You want to?
I forgot the Texans' eye.
Yeah.
The Patriots should have been. It's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, my brain again. All right.
You want another one? You ready for this one? There are 5 teams in NFL that share their nickname with a Power 4 school. 5 teams in NFL that share their nickname with a Power 4 school. Go ahead and go. You're on the clock.
Oh my gosh.
I will tell you that. Let me see if I can give you a hint. There is 1, 2, 3. These are all NFC teams. All NFC teams, there's 5 of them. Same name as a Power 4 school. You got 5 seconds. And time.
Oh, dang it. I got 3.
What you got, Cato?
I have Bears, Cowboys, and Eagles.
Good job. That's 3. What you got, Scott?
I got Bears, Eagles, and Vikings.
Who are
Vikings.
the college teams that are the Vikings?
You know, Virginia Tech Vikings.
All right, Scott got, how many, what'd you say, 2?
I got 2.
We got the Cardinals, the Bears, the Eagles, the Panthers, Pitt Panthers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the Oklahoma State Cowboys. So how many did you get, Cato?
3.
So
Bears,
that's 6.
Cowboys, Eagles.
And how many did you get, Scott?
I got 2.
So that's 6 to 3. 6
Okay,
to 3.
I've already been blown out.
But you got plenty of time. You got plenty of times. You ready?
Okay.
Here we go. Next one. 4 teams in NFL have a horn in their logo. There's a horn in their logo. Give me those 4 teams. They are 2 AFC teams, 2 NFC teams.
I'm trying to think of animals with horns. Or who has
Well,
a
now you're tipping off Scott.
Who has a horned frog?
Golly.
And time.
I got nothing. Okay.
What you got?
So I got Texans, Rams, Broncos.
Why do a Bronco have a horn?
I don't know.
It's not a
Okay.
unicorn.
I'm guessing.
So you got Texans and Rams. That's good. What you got, Cato?
I have Texans, Rams, Vikings.
Good job.
Ah.
The answer, Buffalo was the other
Oh,
one.
Buffalo. That Bill has a
That,
horn.
that little horn that's tearing through the.
Yeah.
Wait, that's considered a horn?
Well, the red part's not, because he's like ripping through the.
Oh, the little
space-time
white before
continuum,
that.
but the little
I've never
white.
even looked at that thing. I
See?
thought that was just the front of the red dash.
No,
Okay.
All right. So what do we got? You want to scores?
I got
You got
two.
9 for me to 5.
9 to 5.
Yeah.
Scott, you can catch up on this one, okay?
Yeah,
This is
probably
an
not.
8-pointer here. This question's 8-pointer. You ready? There are 8 teams right now in the NFL that do not have cheerleaders. Name those 8 teams. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are AFC teams. Do not have cheerleaders.
I have a squeaky pen.
That means you're writing good, though. 5 seconds. And time.
Okay. I did not do well. I thought it was mandatory.
I needed more
that
time on that because that was 8 teams.
it was 8 teams. Want me to go? I'll go. I don't know if any of these are right. I just tried to think who wouldn't have cheerleaders, cold weather teams play in the North. I have Packers, Bears, Patriots, Bills, Seahawks, 49ers. Did I get anything there?
You got Packers, Bears,
Patriots, Bills, Seahawks,
Bills.
49ers.
Bills do not have cheerleaders. What you got, Scott?
3
you got
points
3.
for you. I got Packers, Vikings, Browns, Bengals, Seahawks, Panthers.
Panthers. Yeah. Okay, you got. Let's just see the answers. I think Scott got 2. Bills, Bears, Browns, Packers, Chargers, Giants, Jets, and Steelers do not have cheerleaders.
Oh, man, I should have thought of the Jets and Giants being cold weather. My cold weather theory was correct. Didn't think of the
was.
Browns either.
San Diego? Or that's LA. But still,
But still,
you know.
what's their deal?
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
So I got.
But I do know this. You know, I might not have gotten any points in that one, but I got points for my wife in that one. That's what I did.
Because you don't know.
Honey, I have no idea.
Yeah.
You think I'm paying attention to what's going on the sidelines?
Some of them had cheerleaders, and they've just disbanded them. Like I think the Bears had they were called the Honey Bears or something.
Yeah.
And
I could see that not surviving.
yeah.
If you think about the cheerleaders, it really is. It's
Right.
like what's going on?
Well, it's the Cowboys or nothing, really, in the NFL. It's the cowgirl.
But every team has become the cowboy cheerleaders. Like, I mean, that's kind of, I think they set the mold, right, of what today's modern cheerleaders are.
Right.
But like when you think of what is added, it's just a side show.
It's eye
you know?
candy. It's eye candy.
Well, right, but yeah, what does it add to the game?
I don't know.
I don't want to offend any cheerleaders out there.
No.
But it's just a different thing that's going on.
It's a different thing that's going on.
Yeah, like what other sport would have that? Like, or anything where it's like we have the main show that everybody's coming for, but then we have like these little side breakout shows that are simultaneously vying for your attention.
Right.
Well, I think during timeouts and breaks between quarters, that's okay, right?
Like, what if in baseball though you had cheerleaders like on top of the dugout during the game? Like,
well,
doing
you do.
dance.
You have the Philly fanatic up there
but they
messing
do it
with
like
people.
in between innings, like not
and the
while
Rays,
the
Rays
action.
have a dance team. Like a lot of these major league teams have a dance team.
But it does not take place. Like, it takes place in between innings when there's nothing else going on.
Oh, so you're saying these cheerleaders? Well,
they're dancing. They dance the whole game.
No,
they're doing things.
No, I think during the game they're standing there clapping and cheering like a fan would, except they're doing it more exuberantly. But I think they don't do their routines until there's a break.
I don't know. I think they're going the whole time. I think
I
they
don't
got
think
things.
they're going the whole
They
time.
got big things that they're doing the entire game.
You know, I've looked at them. They're not cheering the whole time.
Right.
Guys.
Sometimes they're taking selfies.
We completely forgot to do the open, the animated open.
Oh, well, let's make it the close.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
Chris, can you go back to that open?
I guess.
Holy, I completely forgot this. There you are, 2 yard of hands off the clock.
Oh, could we? I didn't see it. Could we see that again? Oh, yay! Oh, I'm getting so dizzy.
Wait. How am I the minute hand? I am offended by that. That is good.
Well, are you the minute hand?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
This
We
is
blew
incredible.
up at 3:45.
3:45.
3:45.
Or it could have been 9:15. We're not sure.
We don't know
Yeah.
who the minute hand is.
Dang.
Okay.
Completely.
Scott
No,
is,
no.
Yeah,
it's
taller
fine.
than
It's
me.
perfect the way it went because
Yeah.
that was really. It's kind of like the main show. You know, it's kind of like what we're talking about cheerleaders in the game. Like the real show was the AI animation, and so we just led into it. Like the game is.
We
just,
were the cheerleaders.
Yes.
We were the window
We
dressing.
were just the eye candy was this, but the real show was BK's
I don't know.
artificial intelligence made intro.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Well done again.
Thought it was good.
I can't do the board games. I'm not good with that.
Oh, you're not?
I don't know what games I'm actually good at.
Connect
I
Four.
don't
You said
think-
you're good at Connect
Yeah, I'm
Four.
very good.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, I'm skilled.
Well, there's a game that Rochelle and I are working on together.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yes.
Really?
Michelle, what we got?
Does it involve a
No,
jib?
she better not say anything.
She's not
She's
telling us.
dancing
She's just
behind
dancing.
the jib
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Like a cheerleader.
Great idea.
Okay. All right.
Maybe
Very
next
good.
week.
We'll be
Okay,
looking forward to
fun.
that. Thanks, BK.
Thanks a lot.
We are now off the clock, but there are no off the clock days on the No Off Days podcast. Much thanks to our guest this week, Greg Auman, giving us some intel over there at $1. And it's going to be exciting to see what happens now this week in the college football playoffs and how things might shuffle by the end of this weekend because the games are only going to mean a whole lot more from here. So take
gonna
that
be fun.
take that first rankings with a grain of salt, right? Much thanks to our crew here at nodpod headquarters, Rochelle over here on the jib, and part-time game producer, and Chris with a K on the ones and twos. For BK and Chris, I'm Scott. Until the next time we are on, there are no off days.
See you guys later.